Ghulam Ahmad Butt is an ordinary man. But life has been good to him. His prayers this morning had a special intensity. It is autumn, and he has just finished gathering another plentiful harvest. Breakfast is not a big meal in Kashmir, but it is an opportunity for Ahmad to spend some time with his wife and sons before going to his fields. Ahmad will spend the day gathering his grain to store it safely for winter. His neighbors are working hard all around him to gather their crops. The entire community happy for the prosperity and health that the paddy gives their families. Equal access to agriculture has made life so comfortable in villages like this in the beautiful valley of Kashmir that it surprises many visitors.
Kashmir is one of the most beautiful places in the world, and its charm has drawn me back time and again since I was a little girl. Many of the films I've acted in were actually shot in Kashmir, but I was never aware of the socio-economic transformation that is taking place in Kashmir's villages. Land reforms, free education and developmental projects have completely transformed the rural scenario.
There is good reason for Shabana Azmi's surprise. Not only have large modern houses sprouted in the fields around Salora over the past few years, the fixtures and appliances within are a sea change from the rudimentary lifestyles that were common not so long ago. Nor is Salora an isolated instance. These sorts of lifestyles have become common across rural Kashmir over the past few years. Ghulam Ahmad and his wife are telling Shabana Azmi that all this prosperity and comfort is new, that there were times when their parents lived at the edge of starvation.
ऐसा भी नहीं था जैसा कि घास नहीं थी घास है शादी का घास है हाँ इसी को हमको नींद करता तो बिस्तर भी नहीं मिलता कुछ भी नहीं मिलता सख्ती जबरदस्त हुई मुझे.
Older people in Salora have more harrowing memories of poverty.
गुरबत was sak. Sukate satan was akuya darasa. Pulharias lagan. Chagarias gemakish. Shagarias asan kimasima beauty. I was the laraki.
Landlords owned everything, and we had nothing, says this man.
Begayos yahan, I was you on zemin lagu. Kardar. Tumes ni on begay. Garkom karn khat. Banu mali khat.
So cruel were feudal times, says this man, that people were whipped and taken for forced labor.
In those days, there was a deepest tragedy of human rights. Not like this.
Moneylenders could take and either marry or sell the daughter of a defaulting debtor, says Moyuddin Sofi, who became a political activist in the early 1940s. This man says there were times when he survived only on bread and tea. When Abdul Khalik was a boy, he lived in a tiny house with 55 others. Now he lives comfortably with his son, who's a college lecturer.
ये जड़ पिंड मिलेगा अगर शाल में वंदस में कमी सोचना योते हैं तो रद्द करते हैं सोच suppose.
The change in Abdul Razak Hajam's life is particularly heartwarming. Not only was his family poor, they were despised for working at a menial profession. Now, Razak tills his own fields and lives with dignity. His son has a job in government, and one of his granddaughters is studying to be a teacher.
शेख महमूद अब्दुल्ला बरसरीकदार आव तो हालात बदले लग बदलने सह गो ये पे 87-88 19 मज कोर तम लैंड टू टेलर ये यमो लकटो लकटो काश्तकारो यमन नश 2 कनाल 4 कनाल 10 कनाल तिमन गो इंतकाल.
People say that the key to these great changes in their lives were the land reforms that took place almost immediately after India's independence in 1947.
गुरबतिस मज लुक तो दवा जम आज जमीन त्रावन तम कस्म इंसान ये सदर तो पदरा बहन रेतन करान जमींदारी हरद चारान ये तथ हरद राय.
You actually empowered a whole mass of people who were totally deprived for centuries and centuries. So the sense of empowerment continues till today. Even if, you became landlords or landholders overnight, and that kind of radical transformation is unprecedented in history. Unprecedented, because the kind of empowerment it brought to rural Kashmir was phenomenal in the 50s and 60s, overnight. It's a little known fact that the land reforms in J&K preceded those in West Bengal and Kerala. In fact, it's perhaps the only place in the world where land reforms were enforced by a non-communist government. In fact, a democratically elected government.
Now that they own their own land, villagers across the length and breadth of Kashmir rejoice in tilling and harvesting their fields, eating well and living comfortably without any fear of landlords or moneylenders. So integral is the paddy crop to rural life that almost the entire community is in the fields twice a year, planting and transplanting it in spring and reaping it at the end of summer. People in Kashmir's villages credit this socio-economic transformation to the Naya Kashmir program and to Sheikh Abdullah, who became an iconic leader among poor Kashmiris during the second quarter of the 20th century.
In Sopor, our convention was, there we produced before peoples and delegates our coming about new Kashmir. That was old Kashmir, on what patterns we will want to be new Kashmir. In that pattern, first was over, the monarchy must be over, one person's rule. Then land reform start.
It was a renaissance. He was inspired by great men like Ataturk. Naya Kashmir at its inception was perhaps the most radical, most forward-looking document and manifesto in entire India. You see, even now, other states excepting West Bengal have to catch up with what Naya Kashmir delivered. In Kashmir, for the first time in Naya Kashmir, the empowerment of women was envisaged. There is a full chapter on empowerment of women, and there is another chapter for welfare of children in Naya Kashmir.
Sheikh Kashmir aw yagdash, tam phuro zulm, ashe zulm karani, tam hato zulm, kahveri kadin jail. The yetostam bat bana kosh, yetosni roshni, kihin.
Abdullah brought light, this man says. Power to the people. A lot of infrastructure was built in the early years after independence, particularly for power and irrigation. Development projects, such as roads and bridges, remain a common sight in Kashmir, not only in the cities, but also in villages like Salora. The construction of this road has been a boon, this horse cart driver says. So much easier than carrying grain on one's back. When Ahmad's granddaughter is unwell, her father takes her to the local hospital. The village hospital has facilities for x-rays, CAT scans and surgery, but for more complex ailments, he could take her to one of the several large hospitals in the city. The Lal Ded Hospital for Women and Children has sophisticated equipment for neonatal care. And at the Sheikh Kashmir Institute of Medical Sciences, facilities range from nuclear medicine to radiation therapy and include equipment to track the spread of diseases like cancer and HIV. Kashmir's rural transformation was not limited to land redistribution. Facilities have been set up over the past half-century for research and innovation to improve productivity. They focus on better cattle, sheep, fish, fruit, flowers, even silkworms. And at Kashmir's Agricultural University, researchers work on ways to deal with local crop diseases and to develop healthier strains. As horizons have expanded fast over the past 2 generations, all this infrastructure and development is not enough. Ghulam Ahmad's family owns a truck which 2 of his sons use to take on construction contracts. Yet they and their parents complain of unemployment.
There was a series of land reforms which happened in 48, 53, 56, 65, 69, 74, which kept actually reducing the land holdings. Now there are 2 sets of problems associated with this. One was the fact that by 80s you began to realize that probably you had overdone it, because the average size of holding became uneconomic. See, associated with land reforms was also a natural parcelization of land, because father had 2 sons, it got divided.
Their grandparents may have been happy with the land they got through land reforms, but young Kashmiris aspire for life in the fast track of modernity. Not satisfied with the limitations of farm life, they look for upward mobility wherever they can, bursting with aspirations for jobs, wealth and status.
After finishing my graduation out over here, so let's possibly go to Delhi or Mumbai for my MBA, or possibly if I just get it, so I gotta go to London. So that's better because you just get better jobs out over in MNCs or multinational companies out over there. That's preferably if you get a good college anywhere, whether it's Mumbai, Delhi or London, so I gotta go there.
Not only have well-equipped gymnasiums become popular among men and women in the city, little ones have recently sprung up even in villages like Salora.
Well, this gym has been going on from last 1 year, and there is tremendous enthusiasm within village boys for bodybuilding.
Education has been crucial for this burgeoning of aspirations. Free and compulsory education for all was among the most important initiatives of the early years after independence. There are now more than half a dozen schools around Salora. Across Kashmir, hundreds of private and public schools, professional colleges, including those for medicine and engineering, and of course Kashmiri University, are filled with vibrant young people.
Education has given people a completely new status within society. It has brought in economic affluence, it has brought in more social equality, they're more forward-looking, they're more open. Education has been a very creative influence on the Kashmiri mind and on the Kashmiri society. It has given rise to dissent, it has given rise to debate.
Indeed. This young man is agitated about unresponsive local officials. This argument across generations focuses on who should get credit for the transformation after independence. Sheikh Abdullah say the old, but the young insist it is the institutions of democracy. Some of Kashmir's brightest youth, students at the School of Management at Kashmiri University, are concerned about their society. At their campus, they discuss issues.
It was carried on all local levels. So now there was the boom in agricultural products as well. So that is when you have awareness, you just go to the people, you tell them, even you can make difference.
But we have awareness. There's a
What
lack
I
of awareness.
see, he was telling about like
What I want to add, our common man, our artisan, he used to do work in sort of that shawl making and all that. But we are not promoted. He's not getting what he should get. But I quoted this example earlier as well. But he is given, he prepares a shawl, he's given a rupees 1,000 on it as wages. But that shawl costs crores of lakhs of rupees outside the market. So when he sees this, he gets disappointed. What the hell am I doing here? I must
The marketing avenues we are being deprived by the marketing avenues. Before some time I was in Bangalore. I met a student from other states. They all said that the situation in Kashmir is worse. I think that media has presented it other way. Where look at every country of the world. The bomb blasts are everywhere. But the business is flourishing day by day. But I don't think the situation is worse here. But not as much worse as
the economy is getting better. 5 years back or 6 years back, we didn't have a call center industry in Kashmir. Right now, there are almost 4 or 5 call centers coming here. Airtel, whatever. Corporates are coming here.
They look for opportunities in the modern world. The revolution in education in those early years after independence focused particularly on girls.
6 years we have been topping at secondary level, higher secondary level, even at graduation level. We are outshining boys. girls, even in each and every subject, be it commerce, science, mathematics.
No wonder Kashmir's women now work at a range of sometimes surprising jobs, and many women from villages like Salora work in government or as teachers and doctors. Abina and her husband are both doctors from Salora.
और लड़कियों को भी पढ़ाएं.
Everyone wants to educate daughters, says Abina. They know now that that is the way to build a balanced, happy future.
That's wonderful. Thank you. It warms my heart to meet people like Abina. She's a doctor, she's liberal in her outlook, progressive in her views. It's really wonderful to see this transformation. At a time when free primary education is a distant dream in many developing nations, in many developing societies, it's wonderful to see that the government of Kashmir has worked very hard to ensure free primary education for all right since the beginning of independence, and I think that is one of the reasons that one is able to see this transformation.
So radical has the change been that, unlike their grandmothers, students at Kashmir's prestigious women's college are full of questions about the roles of women.
Actually, we're straddling between without orthodox feelings and our aspiration to become modern. Yes. Neither are we modern, neither are we sticking to what is our religious beliefs. We're straddling in between, and I think mixture of everything. That's a problem. We don't know what actually we are.
But then, of course, if we talk about the religious point of view, our religion has never stopped women to do things boy can do. I mean, even in our Prophet's time, women were allowed to educate. Women were allowed to do anything.
I want this to be one of the best states of India and one of the best states among the world. And let me tell people around the world that Kashmir is not that backward. It is not that backward as they think. Because in America, it's the concept that every Kashmiri is a militant, or every Kashmiri belongs to every Kashmiri or a Muslim is a terrorist. But that hardly matters. We people are not terrorists.
That sentiment reflects young Kashmiris' intense economic and social aspirations. Great opportunities have come their way since their grandparents became masters of the land they tilled. Now they want to build on that foundation.
Dupmas koran